Right. Hello, hello, hello. Um, hello, hello, hello. Um, so very another kind of early but hopefully special edition of 511 Thoughts. And you might think that, why wait till 511? Why not just do it, at like 12:06 or 6:12 or something like that. I don't know because, 12:06, 12 of the 6. It's just I don't think it suits me, man. I don't think it suits me. Anyway, what was I doing that for? To take up time. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so how was my day? My day was okay. I'm having some internet issues actually. So that's always it's disconcerting because you don't expect that. Especially it's funny because yeah, I used to get internet trouble, especially like on like stormy, cloudy days. It would be like back in the day. I guess I can't remember if I had dial up. I was a kid, and I would have you get a thunderstorm, and that's the time. Like if you're playing outside, right? You want to be outside, and you're like, or like for example, like a summer day, right? You're going outside in the pool, right? And you're sort of getting tan, whatever, and there's all kind, you're primarily outside, and then the storm hits, right? Or the storm comes in, and you either you have two options, right? You can sort of like do your summer reading, or go on the internet. And obviously, like, what would you rather do, right? It's like, come on. But the problem, right? The problem is that you don't have internet, right? So yes, that's interesting. Why is that really interesting? I don't know. Now I'm like questioning everything. EA Games challenge everything. This is brought to you by, sponsored by the part of my life that contributed to my challenging in EA games, right? Video games. But I was in a talk. So my day was not bad. Nothing to really report in terms of like nothing striking happened, right? I mean, I could go through like the steps of my typing, but nothing really striking happened. So I guess what do I want to talk about, right? It's interesting. I was thinking about talking about two things, I guess, right? The first thing is, like I said, yesterday I was in a bad spot. Today I'm a little better. I'm still thinking, I'm still pondering the nature of myself, right? It's one of those things. But it's interesting because one thing I am both curious about, but also like and when I say this, like I don't mean that I'm curious about it for like to prove something for myself, right? So but I also say it because it's one of those things where it's just interesting in general, right? Like in other words, like you're sort of like, well, this is something about me, but really it presumably it says something beyond myself, right? And that's sort of the point, right? Like you can use yourself as an example of perhaps something bigger, or maybe, right? Maybe not. And that also is a question, though, right? Is it making sense? I don't know. I'm taking up. It's all about. Um, but the point is that like so you sort of look at something and you know, like influence, right? Like things influence you, right? Like so, EA Games, how much did that influence me? I'll be honest with you. So for me, right, as a I've said about a basketball fan, I've talked about how like I said, like basketball fan, and then generally sports, right? So I grew up like I didn't play like EA Games so much. As a matter of fact, the only game from EA Games I think I ever played, as far as I can recall, was a Harry Potter game, and it wasn't even my game. Like I think it was like someone else's game. So it's interesting. Like I never literally but I do remember the challenge everything really stuck out to me because it wasn't just like challenge everything. It was like challenge everything. And then it's like you can think of like imagine like but yeah but I was actually the games that I played were EA Sports, right? And so EA Sports, I can't remember what their I don't think they had a slogan. Like I don't think it was challenge everything for sure, right? And so but the point is that what I was trying to think about is like it's interesting to me like how influenceable like we are in general, but then sort of people are more influenced, and I think that you might say that that is a telltale sign of what we were talking about yesterday. Sort of extroversion versus introvert. I'm still pondering. I'm just trying to think, because I do agree that there's sort of this idea that, well, I take something in and it's more likely to influence me, for whatever reason versus someone else. And I think that might be one of the big differences in terms of in terms of everything. But at the same time, right, I would like to sort of explore that, right? Like it's interesting how to do that, because like I said, when I'm talking right now, right, things are coming to my mind. I'm thinking about like, EA games, EA Sports, just like I said, I think some of my best childhood memories were those summer afternoons, right? And it's like, it's almost better when it has the thunderstorm, right? Because it's like, it's so hot, and then it sort of cools down, and like I said, that was really I can't remember anything better. Right? It's interesting, but it is interesting, because that sort of informs what I'm talking about, right? And so it's interesting because I'm assuming that people who are more influenced by or have, I'm wondering if people who have like they're sort of taking in stuff more, that they have better memories, right? Like I was actually thinking about the movie Good Will Hunting, right? I don't know why. I randomly, sometimes YouTube randomly shows you like movie clips. I think I was watching like another related Matt Damon movie, or, Matt. What do we? I'm not actually going to talk about people, but I'm just saying he's an interesting guy. But because like I said, I don't know why I'm calling him out. But the point is that so in that movie, he was a genius, right? But one of the things I think that characterized his particular genius, other than he was really good at math, he was good at solving the problems, et cetera, and he also didn't really have a direction. But I think really it was the idea that he could remember stuff, right? Like he had, and I remember there's that scene where he's with the love interest, and she asked him, "Do you have a photographic memory?" And he says he doesn't know, and it's interesting because like, yeah, I mean, one of the things like, my own visual imagery is usually confined to what I perceive as to be memories of the past, right? So when I think about like those stormy days, I get flashes of imagery, but it's, in the form of like memory, right? And so it's interesting because, and he said, he's like, oh, I don't have a photographic memory. These things just kind of come to me, right? And it's interesting because I'm wondering if, so we see that I'm, first of all, like, not that I'm like him in a lot of respects, but one thing is that he, there are similarities between myself, not necessarily on the intellectual level, but on the idea that he, he seems to have a sort of floating, the vibe that I get from him, one of the reasons that I can somewhat relate to him is that there's this idea of like floating in the wind, right? Like you felt that he was like he was kind of like, he hung out with the people because they were fun, but he never really was a part of them. And they sensed that. And that's why, you saw that. And like I said, here and again, like I'm replaying, I'm thinking about scenes, not replaying them necessarily, but thinking about scenes. He had the idea of like, the people were trying to push him away because there was this sense that he didn't really belong there. And he got that, but he was like, so, he was kind of like, he was, he didn't have a real direction. And it's interesting because, like I said, like you wonder how the correlation of all the, all of that is, right? And whether that is, does really sort of reach a fundamental thing about, about ourselves. Anyway, that's about it because I don't know if that was very good. Probably wasn't clear, right? But I don't, whatever, right? Anyway, that was my 511 thoughts for today. Hope everyone's having a good. What is today? Today is Thursday, Drop Thursday. So I was talking about the stuff. So yeah, it's an interesting movie. Like I said, if you haven't seen Good Will Hunting, I think it's it's one of those sentimental movies. It does get me I certainly, I like the action adventure, but I also like the sentimental, and that's what I was thinking about Matt Damon. He started with the dramas, right, and then he moved on to like the Bourne series and stuff, and now I think that's what I don't know. Like I haven't followed his career, but yeah, he's a cool guy. Anyway, yeah, that's about it. Bye.